Welcome in. It is Weather Wagers, another week. I am merely Brett Thakera alongside the great Dan Tomaso.
Well, my voice is back. I feel so much better. I mean, I actually had the full-on flu, the influenza A.
Yes.
And it was so weird that my voice went first and then just took a while to get back. I probably strained it trying to keep up with things. But
it is hard to do. Like, we don't have desk jobs, so we need to use our voice, and that is the one thing. I often wonder how Kirk Herbstreit makes it through a season using his voice.
Well, maybe he has a good doctor on a speed dial.
Probably, and maybe some good home remedies, too. You never know. We want to tell you where to find us, as we always do. Please share us with your friends. We had some good numbers last week with that.
Yes, we did.
With that storm coming on YouTube. We are there. We are on Amazon, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and, of course, ABC27.com and ABC27 News Plus. And I want to talk about ABC 27 News Plus. We have this program, so many other programs that we have on there that are not on our regular channel. It's all extra stuff. And one of the extra things that you and our chief meteorologist, Eric Finkenbeiter, did yesterday, which you can find on ABC 27 News Plus, is talk a little bit about how we forecast winter storms. And not to brag, but I'll pat ourselves on the back here. We had a really good forecast last week with 8 to 14 inches of snow, and then that sleet line. We talked about it before anybody else did, including the National Weather Service. So we were pretty proud of ourselves for that. But people can watch that video of you and Eric. It's definitely worth your time if you're a weather weenie. But let's talk about this weekend, because we've got a nor'easter that is going to be coming up the coast. We're going to show you that in a second. But before we get to that, I just want to talk a little bit, Dan, about how we forecast. And I mentioned on Monday the potential for a nor'easter. And I know some Facebook commenters, which have been generally pretty nice, and they should be after we got the forecast right last week. They said, "Oh, stop it. We don't want to hear about it. You're hyping up another storm." Listen, I don't talk about storms that I don't believe in. So I just want to clarify a couple of things. One is there is a storm. This is not made up.
Nope.
2, early in the week, it looked like it could potentially have an impact here over the weekend. Now, we want to let everybody know that the chance is there and that we're monitoring it. And 3, just because we're not going to get it now, that doesn't mean nobody is going to see this.
Correct.
And if you have travel plans, if you have family members that live along the East Coast, somebody is going to get hit with this. So nobody's hyping this. We're not, putting out numbers. We're not hyping model run to model run. But we are letting you know, listen, this weekend coming up, there's going to be a nor'easter. So let's show you that right now, Dan, if we can, and we can talk about the evolution of this and how we make this forecast, because you pointed out, I think it was Wednesday, after we sort of had seen in most model guidance that this was kind of going to jog eastward and stay out to sea. You pointed out, well, actually, I think this cold air, we're continuing to get these bowling balls of Arctic air, I call them, from Canada. That's actually going to make this storm go to the south first. Because listen, Georgia could get some snow out of this.
The Carolinas could get a foot of snow in spots.
Yeah, and Southern Virginia, areas that typically don't see that much snow. This is Saturday afternoon, and this is why we said, okay, early in the week, maybe it looked like we could get in on this action. Not going to happen now, but part of the reason, Dan, is that Arctic air.
Yeah, and the storm track was just suppressed too far south and a little bit too far east, too. I mean, in general, if you want a coastal storm here to have an impact, you need to have this storm forming, say, in the Tennessee Valley, closer to the Appalachians. This just, unfortunately, did not evolve to the point that it was developing that quickly. And because it develops more towards the coast, you have the high pressure in place. Voila, you have a storm that's going to snow over the Sharks, the Marlins, the Dolphins out there. I mean, there's going to be a lot of snow over the ocean.
You just named about every sports team we sometimes talk about.
There you go.
But here it goes now. The one question I think, and I would not want to be a forecaster, is for the New England coast.
Yeah, coastal New England's going to be
tough. They're still not sure they're going to get anything, right? I mean,
correct.
This, our in-house model, the graph model, does show a graze.
Yes.
Okay. We're confident it's going to miss us, but that New England, they're still watching and waiting on this, and I'm sure the folks up there are a little bit confused, but I think they have a decent chance to see at least some snow, but are they going to be in the core of this or not? We don't know just yet.
No, I honestly think the last storm is going to be a bigger impact than, say, this one will be in those areas. Keep in mind, too, the word nor'easter comes from the northeast wind. They're still going to get a heck of a lot of wind. This is a very strong storm that deepens fast. So I think the Patriots are lucky.
Yeah.
that
There's no
there was-
football
there
this
was
week.
no football this week because that would have been tricky.
Well, they still had a weather game, though.
Yes, they
didn't they? We called it. We
Yeah, we
said
did.
it's going to be cold. It's going to be
A
breezy.
little more snow than I thought.
Yeah, but we did say it was going to snow. And the
Yes.
problem was with the cold, anything sticks.
I know, and it was quite the mess there in Denver.
So, New England getting some snow is a question, but we just wanted you to know, too, how we philosophically communicate this. It's what do we believe in, first of all?
What do we know? Right.
And what do we know about pattern recognition? When you've been doing this 20 years like Dan and I have, you have to sort of, with these winter storm forecasting is very tough. You have to kind of outsmart the models. And we say that.
Otherwise there's no point of having us.
Well, right. And that's part of the fun because the models are fine and some are better than others. We know that. The Euro usually has a pretty strong track record, the European model, but not always. And sometimes you just have to know the pattern. We knew, and you also have to learn from the past.
Yes.
We knew we had a storm here in December 2020 where it looked like we were going to get over a foot of snow. Guess what? Didn't happen because that sleet line came way farther north than the models
And
thought.
faster, too.
And the same thing happened this time. We knew it. We knew it was going to happen. And we're going to make a callback to this forecast, too, later because we made sort of a bet about the official number.
We did.
We're going to come back to that later in the show with the other thing that tied into that bet, which was Penn State's schedule, which we now know for next year, and we're going to get to that. But enjoy it. Listen, if you're in the Carolinas, if you're in Georgia, and you don't typically see snow,
No, this is a big one.
This could be wild.
Yeah.
And so, Dan, play that out the rest of the way, or you can see the storm will exit Sunday night. But we're going to be blustery on the backside of
Yep.
it. We're still going to be cold next week. February does not
Perhaps
look
not as cold.
Not as cold,
Let's not
but-
freak people out, but I think maybe 20s rather than teens.
well, and maybe getting above freezing by the end of next week. However, again, that's still below normal. Normal high temperatures now for here in central Pennsylvania should be around 40, and we're not going to be there anytime soon. One of the other things that, as we shift from weather talk into sports talk, is everybody's written a column about Kirk
it's
Cignetti.
everywhere.
That meme is everywhere,
It's
which I
literally
love.
everywhere.
Where he's looking, and it's me checking my neighbor's lawn, but there's a picture of him actually smiling,
Which is hard to find.
So everybody's written 1,000 words about Kirk Cignetti, but let's give him his due. How is he doing this, Dan, at Indiana?
Well, there's a couple things that are so unique about this. First of all, he is an older head coach, and I'm not saying anyone in their 60s is old. I'm just saying in the current
he's not a
landscape,
young hotshot.
Right. So this is a late career bloom, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Now, he had a lot of success at JMU, but you just never know how it's going to translate
And
to the next level.
IUP.
And IUP. So he's got Pennsylvania connections.
Mm-hmm.
He was my ideal hire for our very own Nittany Lions. Obviously, that is a pipe dream, especially now that they won the national championship. But for whatever reason, and some people say there's some nefarious things going on in the background. I have no idea. Again, we're going to take everything at face value. He somehow found the quarterback that fit his system, fit the way he played, had a very good defense to parlay off of, and it came together with an older set of players, highest average age of any team. The schedule was somewhat favorable. They ran through that. They ran through the playoffs.
Somewhat, but I will say they had to play Oregon.
Yes.
They had to play Penn State. They had to play
Well,
Ohio.
that was favorable at the time.
Well, but we didn't know that. And
No, I
honestly,
know.
we gave them their toughest game.
I
So
understand.
and then Ohio State in the Big Ten, and then to sweep through the playoffs.
But
like
what
they
do you
did.
think would have happened? This is the what if they had to play Ohio State in the regular season and got beat. It
Well,
could have derailed everything.
Maybe so, but woulda, coulda, shoulda. These conferences are bigger
Yep.
now. They still had to go to Oregon, which was an impressive
Oh,
victory.
it's
They
all
did-
very impressive.
Yeah, they had to go to Penn State. So then the question becomes you answered how is he doing this? He's doing this by being a really great talent evaluator, something that not all head coaches are. He's doing this by picking the exact right guys in the portal. And then he's doing it by, Indiana, and we saw this play out with Michigan, with Ohio State when they won, with guys that had been there, and then older JMU guys that he
Yep.
brought in to form this really super squad of older players. Now,
Everybody's rowing the same boat.
Penn State tried to do that, and it blew up in their faces because, of course, it would for good old Penn State. Speaking of that, what about a program like Penn State? Now, by the way, Penn State is in good company with other programs like, I don't know, I think we're probably a little bit better than Wisconsin, but I'm trying to think of another program.
Tennessee.
Penn State, yeah, Tennessee, Nebraska,
Some
even
level
though we've
Florida.
been better. Florida. Should Penn State fans be mad that we have spent the last 2 decades, even in the better Paterno years
Yep.
at the end, knocking on the door, that Michael Robinson team, for example, knocking on the door of a national title. We are a blue blood. We
Darryl
won
Clark's team.
Yeah, we won national titles in the 80s. Joe made a run at it a couple of times before the end. And then Franklin comes in, builds it up. We're a game away, a play away from making the national title game. And all of a sudden, Indiana, a complete doormat, forever.
Losing his team at the time.
Forever.
In college football.
2 years later wins the national title, and we can't seem to sniff
I'm
it.
beyond irritated. I'm beyond irritated because this just proves, something was amiss at Penn State under Franklin. And whether it was Franklin, whether it was the support, something was not aligning. And we've mentioned alignment a lot, and we thought we had it. But clearly we don't. I mean, I don't see the pushback at Indiana. When Kirk Cinetti asks for something, when Kirk Cinetti gets a contract, I don't see the pushback. When Franklin was asking for these things, people were irritated with him and thought it was too brash, too much. I don't see any of that happening at a quote-unquote lesser athletic school.
Well, and we have, Mark Cuban stepping up. Where are all those famous Penn Staters that we know are out there that Pat McAfee said they're all coming out of the woodwork, all these CEOs, all the money is flowing in. Well, and again, it's not just Penn State, but some of these programs that are so close all these years. Indiana does it in 2 years. I think that would irritate a lot of people. And you've got to be very careful now because in many ways, Penn State is trying to do the same thing. They're bringing in a lot of seasoned Iowa State veterans. Matt Campbell knows who was good and who wasn't, just like Cignetti did at JMU. He's building the portal through his vision, just like Cignetti did at Indiana, and yet we feel so far away from that right now. I think Campbell's a good coach, but we're going to talk about all of this with the schedule coming up. But I just wonder if this truly is a once in a generational thing. Or my final question on this topic, Dan, is how long can Indiana continue this? We showed you last week the national title odds. They are near the top as they should be. People ignored them this past year. How long can they go?
As long as the money keeps flowing in, I feel like, because Mark Cuban has already said, I'm giving more. And a national championship certainly should pull up more interest. I just feel like as long as Kurt Cinetti's there, they got an advantage because he is doing the talent evaluation. There is no general manager in Indiana football. It's him.
Yeah.
He's coaching and he's doing it. Now, that's a model not everybody can pull off.
Well, you know who else did that for many, many years at the pro level?
Andy Reid.
Andy Reid, but I'm thinking of somebody else.
Bill Belichick.
Bill Belichick, who was just snubbed on the first ballot Hall of Fame. What do you make of that? This wasn't a topic I was going to bring up, but the way that you said about Kirk Cignetti doing it reminded me so much of Belichick, because there are those out there, that maybe this is why he was snubbed, that say it was all Tom Brady. Well, just keep in mind, Brady had to live through a lot of iterations of that team.
Sure.
Bill Belichick
you need a full roster.
Built that team, in his image, so to speak.
And rebuilt it many times.
And to do what he was able to do there. And I realize it didn't end well. And I realize people may have a bad taste. He was fishing for mermaids, and he then went to North Carolina, and it was an epic fail, as many predicted it would be this year. But look, he deserved to be in.
Well, and I think you have to remove the personal life aspect. Whatever he does in his free time, listen.
Or some people say he was a jerk. Okay, there's a lot of jerks in the Hall of Fame.
Well,
I mean, come on.
We're hearing rumblings that James Franklin was tough on his staff and tough on players. So what? I mean, again, if you want to win, if there's pressure to win, this is what happens. He's a Hall of Famer in my book, Bill Belichick, and he's going to wait a year or whatever. He's going to get in, but
it's silliness.
I think it was rude. I think it was rude, and I think it was just some jealousy. Because, again, let's look at the Eagles. Just a quick example here. Eagles have been a very successful franchise, and some could say they're right there with the Chiefs and the Patriots the last 20 years. The numbers prove it. But even they are not as consistent as what that Patriots franchise was.
100% correct. So it's going to be fun, I think, to watch if Indiana now becomes a perennial power, because this guy seems to have it all, as long as everything's above board.
Right.
And I don't even
we
mean...
have to assume that way.
Well, and I don't even mean the tampering. You heard what Dabo Swinney accused Ole Miss of this week. If you didn't, go look it up. We don't have time to talk about it here, but it's a whole thing.
Pete Golding are under fire.
That happens.
Yep.
I'm not talking about that. As long as there's nothing really nefarious going on. Look, money's
like
flowing.
Stealing.
Like the Jim Harbaugh stuff.
Right.
Money is flowing. People are now going to want to come there to play for him.
Correct. It's a big deal.
Great. Have at it. Penn State, other programs like that, I hope you're paying attention. That's how you have to do it.
Correct.
You got to open the checkbook. Let's go back and review our picks from last week, and I will say, that for the most part here,
We had a good beat on things.
We had a good beat on things because you and I said I thought 5 was too high. And
Well,
you didn't believe that, but I just said I think 5 is too high, and it proved to be true because I'm going to say this again, and
okay.
we can talk about this.
I'll hear it out.
That the Patriots are just not that good yet.
They're not.
And I like Mike Vrabel, and I think it's because of somebody like Mike Vrabel
That
they've been
they're-
able to get
right.
back to the Super Bowl.
Sure.
But Drake May needs to be a little more seasoned. Their defense seems to be good, but I just they had a favorable schedule. I don't want to say that they haven't made the right plays, but again, look at what happened to the Broncos. They lose their star quarterback. The Patriots get them. That's luck. There's a little bit of luck sometimes.
100%.
That happens.
100%.
And it
I'm
ended
with
up,
you.
Listen, 5 was just too much.
5 was too much, although
And the weather played a role in that.
the second half was some brutal football to watch. Missed field goals, punts that went 20 yards. So it wasn't a normal game. I think in regular conditions, the Patriots probably put up a few more points and make that 5 happen.
And the Seahawks did what they do. Now, again, the Rams put up a fight. They did cover the 2.5, though.
But who let them down?
Your guy.
Sean McVay, clock management, game management.
You really have an issue with this guy.
Well, because I'm tired of the hype. I'm tired
yeah.
of him getting so much credit.
You want to get on us for hyping Storms, which we don't. How about hyping NFL coaches? This is your problem. Your problem isn't necessarily with Sean McVay.
Right.
Let me be clear. Your problem is why does this guy walk on water when a guy like Nick Sirianni is panned?
Or Mike McDonald just beat him.
Straight up
beat him.
Yep.
And
why don't people talk about Mike McDonald more? I think they are now.
I saw a lot of solo camera shots on Mr. McVay and not as many on the Seattle coach. I didn't keep count, but watching the game, it felt that way.
He is handsome.
I don't care. He's a football coach.
He is handsome. He's got a little beard.
He almost called a timeout and he pulled away from it.
You kind of look like him with that beard.
Well, I
don't
need to
you?
lose probably 20 or 30 pounds. He's a little more chiseled.
He's a little more chiseled. That's why the camera likes this guy,
Yeah.
Dan. What is wrong with that?
Maybe my next podcast, I'll buy one of those tight Rams blue shirts. That
Yeah, I want to see how that fits on you.
Yeah,
and I have a feeling
the biceps. Yeah,
I have a feeling it's not going to show muscles.
No.
And that's not saying you're out of shape.
No, but compared to him,
compared to him, it's rough.
He's got a little more advantage on me.
Okay, and I think we found our tease for this week. The viewers want to see that. James Crummell lectured us. We need to pick better teases. He's our new anchor here. That's the tease right there.
He's an expert on teases.
Picture Dan in the Sean McVay tight
or
shirt.
Maybe you don't want to.
Let's go to the overall record because this again didn't really help things for you. But I think we, Dan, have something fun coming up. I'm 93 and 88. You're 89 and 92. By the way, 89 and 92, respectable. The fact that I have a winning record, I am going to pat myself on the back again. Very tough to do against the spread. You and I have done an admirable job this year.
Yeah, I'm just the Mets in the second half. I started out really well, above
Yeah,
500
you
in the
tanked.
first half, and then I tanked.
Oh, and we're going to talk baseball coming up because it's
we
almost
got plenty to say about
spring
that,
training.
too.
Thoughts on the Patriots, though, because we've got the Drake May image here. I think this guy has staying power in the league. I think he's very good. There he is with Jimmy Nance.
Yeah, with good coaching. Yeah, absolutely.
In the snow,
In
the
the
weather, we
snow.
talked about it. But
He's a winner.
can the Patriots put up enough of a fight here in the Super Bowl?
No.
I'm a little bit afraid that it's going to be a lopsided Super Bowl.
I think it could be very lopsided. I think it could be boring at times too, because I think it's going to be defensive.
Yeah,
I think
I do too.
Both teams have a very good defense, very sound defense. They
Yes.
don't. Neither team makes a lot of mistakes.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be grind it out. Maybe some 5-10 yard passes, first and second down or running downs. Kenneth Walker really didn't get going in that game against the Rams, but it didn't matter.
But if there's one team that probably could have an offensive explosion, it is the Seahawks. Sam Darnold is
Wild.
that guy. There he is. He is the first QB from USC to start a Super Bowl.
That's crazy.
Is that
With their
not one of those
lineage.
weird stats?
Yeah.
Right? Think
I
about
don't know
some
how
of the
that's
QBs.
possible. Matt Leinart even?
Yeah,
I mean,
some of the QBs that have been in the league. And
Carson.
here,
Wait a minute. Carson Palmer?
I don't think he started a Super Bowl.
Not in the Super Bowl, no.
Not in the Super
Really?
Bowl. Yeah. No, I know.
Yeah,
it's wild.
Because it was
Huh.
Burrow when Palmer was at Cincinnati.
Yeah. It's wild, isn't it?
That is wild.
So he's the first USC QB to do it. And if you ask me again, that's going to be the matchup in this game.
Yes.
The offense of the Seahawks, which has looked phenomenal in
Yeah,
the playoffs.
unstoppable almost.
With the Patriots defense, which is also, look, they neutralized the Chargers. Can they come through? They neutralized. I realize it was
sound like Nick Sirianni. It comes down to turnovers, maybe.
Well, it might, but they neutralized the Broncos. I know they had a backup QB, but they really do look solid on that side of the ball.
One other thing too to point out: the Rams special teams, which had been a bugaboo all season, was bad in the NFC Championship game.
Yep.
I don't know if the Seahawks will get that lucky again, but it really set them up well, especially on that muff punt.
Well, yeah. And again, sometimes when you've got matchups like this where it's going to be one unit against the other, special teams all of a sudden becomes more important.
More special.
Well, we did find a way to make this interesting because if we just pick games, it's over. I win. But we've done this in years past. If you're new to Weather Wagers, we do like to make prop bets on the Super Bowl. It's time for our games/picks of the week.
Games of the week.
So here we go. This is going to now give Dan a chance, okay, to do this. Shiner, take that full screen because it is a little bit
tight.
It's tight. But these are our Super Bowl picks, odds by covers now, and these are our prop bets. So Dan, you have a chance here to if you do well, to at least try to get the steak dinner. So it all comes down to the Super Bowl, and we wouldn't have it any other way. I mean, some years one of us could really run away with it, and then there really would be no chance. But you've played yourself in here. So the national anthem, the over/under is 120. Now we both picked the same here. We're going to go over. I don't even know.
It out.
Do we know who's singing it? I don't know.
I don't know. I don't think it really matters because they're in the spotlight. They really drag out some of those long notes.
Yeah.
If I remember right, Shiner, I think you had an opinion about this the last time we did this. I think you were kind of the same mindset.
Yeah, it was. I think it was the Chris Stapleton doing the national anthem, and it hit right at what the over/under was, and it was controversial on whether he was the last note he was letting ring out to a certain time before it officially came to an end.
Is singing the national anthem.
Oh, okay.
He's got some good slower songs. He can drag it out. Dan and I are both going to go over 120 here. Now, we're going to come back to Shiner in a minute because I want him to just look at the board. He's looking at the board for the first time. And we're going to have his Shiner standouts coming up. All right, coin toss. You could gain one on me. Tails never fails, but you're going to pick heads.
I'm going heads.
All right, we've got who's going to score first? Well,
based on our picks, yes.
We both like the Seahawks there and Sam Darnold. Now, the halftime song, which according to the covers, I don't have my. You have it. Sheet.
Have it. Yep.
Now they listed some songs here by this is Bad Bunny.
Good luck.
Another controversial figure for the halftime show. I'm going to pick Titi Me Pregunto, and you're picking other. But do you want to pick the song that you actually chose?
Well, no, I don't know the names of these songs. One of them is Alambre Pua La Mudazana.
Your
Titi Me
Spanish is good.
Pregunto.
Yeah, but what did you pick?
Nueva Yol and other. I don't know. I mean, I literally don't know a thing about Bad Bunny, so I just
pick
figured
something Bang Bang?
well, I can't repeat that on the podcast.
Bang Bang.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Not Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
No.
Okay. We'll leave it there.
We want the podcast to continue.
Usher is also appearing here.
Yes.
And one of the prop bets is somebody going to be with him, accompany him or not? We both said yes because typically
there's a lot of people involved.
There's always surprises. Now, the song count here. Was this the halftime song count? Or was this just for Usher? This is the whole
halftime show.
All right. We're both – actually, no. So the over-under there was 11 and a half songs. I'm going to go under. That seems high to me, but you're going to go over.
I'm going to go over because usually it's like a few seconds of each, and they kind of all blend together. So it didn't say it had to be the whole song.
Yeah. All right. That's true. So, and that would count. A snippet here, a snippet there.
Yep.
All right, so there's one where we differ. Now, passing yards, who's going to have more?
No-brainer to me.
We both picked Sam Darnold over Drake May.
I think he was almost at 350 in the last game.
I know. And again, not that Drake May can't pass. It just seems like Darnold's going to do more of it.
Yep.
All right, rushing yards, we both picked Kenneth Walker III to have the most.
Well, because they feed him.
They do.
They do feed him, and they try to get him involved.
And again, you're trying to get ahead of me here. Sometimes we're similar. Again, we don't discuss these.
No.
Because we want it to be as realistic as possible.
I think, unfortunately, in this matchup, there's only so many playmakers.
Well, and that leads us to the receiving yards. We both like JSN, right?
Jackson Smith and Jigma for the first down touchdown.
Wow! God, we sound like Gus Johnson. That's pretty good. I don't need to hear his name again.
No.
It just takes me back to PSD.
Me too. Every great wide receiver Ohio State has and all the duds we have.
PTSD from those big noon games. Now, here's a fun one. Shiner, make that screen full. We want to make sure our friends can read it at home. Gatorade color. I'm going lime green.
Now, I think that's the most common one. If I'm
the lime green.
Yes.
That's right. So I think we're going to go with that. But you are going to say fruit punch.
I'm going to go. I'm going to go red. I'm going to go red. I just figured I want to do something a little bit different.
All right. Total points, which is actually going to be the tiebreaker. Now, the total points, Dan, that is listed as of today on BetMGM, because Covers takes an average of these things.
Yes.
But on BetMGM, which we've used, 45.5. I'm going to go under, and you're going to go under. Why is that? Even with a high-powered offense at Seattle.
Because I'm not sure the Patriots are going to score very much.
They might only score 10, maybe 17.
Maybe 17.
Yeah, and their defense is good, too.
Correct.
All right, we're going to go under. Now, scoring in the last 2 minutes.
I think that's a gimme.
I think we both like, yes, the NFL likes that drama. Now, unless it's a domination game, that's where we could
But even
get,
there, it could be some garbage points or whatever.
Yeah, you never know. I do like the yes. Now, we have Darnold. The yards is 250, so that's the over-under. That's what we're setting at, because I looked on BetMGM. Anything under 250, they were favored to do. Anything over 250, we started to get into the plus odds. Okay?
Wow,
Anything under 250, we were minus. Over 250 was plus. So I picked 250. Is Darnold going to have over 250? We both said yes.
Yes. Especially, again, based on the last game, I think
Correct.
is a pretty good indicator.
What about Drake May? We both said no.
No.
Okay.
Based on the last game, again, pretty good indicator.
And then the MVP, here's a fun one. I'm picking Sam Darnold. You're picking his receiver.
Well, and it's because, he was so dominant against the Rams, and the Rams at least have some shutdown corners.
Yes.
So, I mean, is he the next great NFL wide receiver to be stepping up? It certainly could be that way.
And unfortunately, I missed the bottom there. That should both be under. We are both picking under, and that is going to be the tiebreaker.
Nope, that's okay. Yep.
So
we understand
if we tie, then we know that we're going to use that as the tiebreaker.
Correct.
So those are the prop bets. Shiner, what stands out to you in that list? If you had to make one or two bets that just all of a sudden speak to you, what do you like here?
All right. Well, I think the lock is definitely JSN for receiving yards. I mean, if anyone has more receiving yards than him, I'd be very, very surprised.
Okay. All right.
However, I do have a zag on both of you.
Yeah, please.
I think that Stevenson's going to have the most rushing yards. And if you look at the playoffs, he actually has about 20 more yards than Walker. Now, granted, Walker was splitting carries for a little while, but
that is a factor.
Stevenson doesn't really have anybody that backs him up. So I would say I would take Stevenson for the most rushing yards. And I think just in the way it's going, Darnold MVP is almost going to be the lock if they win.
If they win, 100%. And what a story that would be.
So, There's a lot going on there, just as far as the football. And I do agree with both of you. I think I would go with the under of the,
45 and a half.
45 and a half. I would go with under. Today. And you know what? The Seahawks might score 30% of that.
Well, they might. What if it's 30 to 10? I mean, then you're still kind of under if they get to that point. So we like it now. Again, folks, what if it just turns into a shootout slugfest?
I don't see that.
I would be shocked.
I would be shocked too.
But things happen. We're going to take the under. Shiner, thank you.
Yeah, and I do just want to throw this out here for my Jalen Hurts haters. If he would have had 89 yards passing in the NFC Championship game, he would get flamed. And I'm pretty sure that's what Drake May had. Just throwing it out.
Exactly.
Yeah. So go Birds. All right, I'm done.
No, but
find a way to win.
But again, we've talked about the Nick Sirianni hate, which we don't really understand, and you're throwing that out there. It's just more evidence that there's a lot of crazy folks out there, and we like our birds. You got to play
perfect football to be happy with everybody.
We do like our birds. So, all right, we had a fun bet last week. If you missed it, we had a big snowstorm come through here. We talked about the sleet mixing in. Now, before, don't spoil that.
Sorry,
Danny.
I have one more space bar.
Okay, that's okay. But I want to play this clip from last week so that everybody understands what the bet was, and then we'll reveal the big total. So let's say that I give you a crisp $100 bill. And I tell you, you need to bet this on snow.
Yep.
Do you bet that crisp $100 bill on 6 inches of snow at HIA, Harrisburg International Airport?
I think that's pretty much a slam dunk right now, yes.
Okay, now that's interesting. Do you bet that $100 bill on 8 inches of snow?
I believe I do. Yes, I do.
Okay.
Now, I'm maybe about 70 to 80% confident there.
Okay, but you would still feel pretty good about that.
Yeah. Now,
would you bet that $100 bill on a foot?
No, I would not. A foot of snow in this area is climatologically pretty rare. You really have to get all things to align.
And I want to tell our viewers one thing about that, and then we'll move on. In December 2020, we had a storm similar to this. There's a little different setup, but similar enough. And everybody went bonkers with snow totals.
Yeah.
16,
12 to
18,
18, yep.
even 20. And the final total of that storm, because guess what happened?
Sleep monster.
Yeah, it came in a lot sooner than even we thought. And this time our antenna is up for it. I believe it was 11.2 inches.
Didn't quite get to a foot.
By the way, still a lot of snow.
Right.
Big, impactful storm. The sleet obviously is still going to have a big impact. As you said, this storm, we're going to be feeling the effects of this into Monday.
It is going to snow, folks.
It is going to be a big storm.
Right.
But we didn't get that foot in 2020, did we? It's the details.
The devil's in the details.
So I'm sort of with you. I'd feel pretty confident laying that Franklin on, not James Franklin,
although I like him
Benjamin Franklin, on 6 inches and probably 8 inches.
Yeah.
But that foot is always a tricky beast around here.
Now, again, some places may get it. I don't know how widespread it's going to be.
No, correct. But we're talking just at that airport. Can we get that official foot? And again, it's possible. Would you bet $100 on it?
No, I would not.
I don't think I would either. All right, let's get to the next graphic because now we have a fun game. I want to give a shout out to a friend of the show, Mr. Carl Smoyer. And he is on our text thread for college football.
Yes,
and he said, here's a fun game for weatherweight.
Sick of me.
Here's a fun game. You've golfed with Mr. Smoyer. Dave Shiner.
Yes, I have.
More snow at HIA, the official total for this storm, or PSU wins in 2026. Carl's like, what would you guys, could you guys talk about that on Weather Wagers? I said, sure. Let's do it. So we've got the over-under set at 8. So that's 8 inches of snow, 8 wins. Now, I didn't ask you this, so I kind of had to fill in the blank here. And this was something, you know, folks, we've been a little busy. We are forecasting a major winter storm. So Dana's allowed to change his answers here, but I filled them in for him. But I am going to take the over at HIA for 8 inches of snow.
Okay.
And I'm going to take the PSU wins over. Now, I left your answers the same. But I listen, you tell me, of the two bets, I'm much more confident in the snow.
I was going to say that.
Does that make sense?
I am much more confident in the snow, too, myself.
So advance the graphic here because now, again, if you're watching, I had to fill in the blank because Dan and I did not get to discuss this beforehand, which is fine. But I have a feeling your answer is going to change.
I'm going to go under for Penn State. Over for the snow, under for Penn State.
So, again, now let me just be clear. If the airport gets 8.2 inches, we win.
Over.
And you're fairly confident of that.
Yes.
Given what we just talked about, the high ratios, the moisture. We can probably get that, we hope, before the sleet mixes in. Now, again, it is only Thursday, folks, so, you know, we would have the right to change that. But as of today, and that's when we're making this bet, we're going to go over with the snow, and we feel pretty good about that. And you're going to go under Penn State.
Yes.
Okay. We're going to talk more about that, of course, throughout the off season.
Penn State wishes they had sleet as their problem.
Okay. we're going to come back to that, actually, because we've got another fun segment coming up. But those are our answers. We're both going over 8 for snow.
Yep.
I'm going to go over 8 for wins, Penn State 2026, and you're going to go under.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So that was the bet. Let's tell everybody what the official measurement is. 12.5 inches of snow at HIA. So we nailed that.
We did.
Now, HIA put out their official total as 11 inches. And then they modified it to 14 inches. And now it sits, as of today, at 12.5.
I'm very dubious. So I don't live that far from the airport. And
3 totals.
Maybe 8 to 9.
Yeah.
Something's a little screwy here.
Now, I will say we did have a lot of 10 to 12 measurements across the area. It's possible. But, you know, they kept amending it.
Something's not exactly right.
That counts.
Al Michaels would be dubious.
That mattered for people that might have been, you know, looking at the numbers. But that's where it sits. Either way, we said we would bet on over 6. We said we would lay that 100 on over 8.
Yep. Not on 12.
Not on 12, but we did get there, and it certainly fit our forecast. All right. Matt Campbell, head coach of the Penn State Indy Lions, is going to be dropping the puck at the outdoor hockey game.
How about that?
By the way, people were curious about the forecast for that. Cold, but
very
generally
cold.
nice.
Yes.
Let's show Matt. I think we have a picture of Matt Campbell,
there he is.
head coach.
We still have a Penn State picture of him, unfortunately.
Yes,
We'll get there.
We'll get there. Hopefully Saturday, right?
Yep.
He'll be dropping that puck on the ice-cold rink. And coach's schedule is in. Here is the Penn State schedule in full. Now that we know, we have dates. Now, we don't have TV times or anything yet. That'll come later. First 3 games, typical. This was what James Franklin had wanted. Some light games to start.
By the way, he's doing the same thing at Virginia Tech.
Correct.
Making some people angry about it.
Yes, he dropped to JMU as one of their games. Marshall, then we go to the Link.
Yep.
I'm sure there will be a following there.
I did it back in 2014, and I witnessed a big old L.
Yeah, I remember that. Could that be foreshadowing? Temple's pretty bad now, though.
Well,
Buffalo next, and then we get into the meat of the Big Ten schedule. Let's look at this. We start the last Saturday of September against Wisconsin at home. They do come to Beaver Stadium. That's fortunate. I'm not saying that Wisconsin's great, but again, we just don't know.
It's a tough place to go. First road test for Matt Campbell, you don't know.
We don't want it on the road. Then we go at Northwestern, and then here comes this tough October stretch. USC at home, look for that to hopefully be the whiteout game. I'm sure Penn State would love nothing more. And then we go to Michigan. So those back-to-back weeks are going to be tough, and then a bye week. Remember, this year, because everything starts Labor Day weekend, we only get the one bye. There's not a double bye.
Yeah, it's a little messy.
Correct. And then we play Purdue on Halloween day or night. And then another tough one at Washington. I am glad that one is not butted up against that USC Michigan stretch.
No, but there's no travel time in there, which I find very curious.
Mm-hmm. Yes, because then we come home and play Minnesota.
That to me, if somehow we get out of that 2-0, we might have a special season. I'm leaning 0-2.
Well, we don't know about Minnesota. That's the problem. They're always hot.
They're going to be
cold.
physical.
Yes, correct. But part of me thinks Matt Campbell's teams may be more physical than some of James Franklin's teams. We'll see. But will they have other things to go with it? And then we end the season, Rutgers at Maryland. And it is, of course, kind of a flop to end the season. But that's what the Big Ten has done to Penn State because we don't have a rival.
Right. We don't have a rival. But, again, you don't get through the meat of that schedule right there in the middle. It ain't going to matter.
What's the most concerning piece of that to you? Probably that USC-Michigan lineup in mid-October, right?
I think that's really hard. I think USC has been more formidable. They seem to be playing more Big Ten-style football. Michigan, too. I mean, you get a very experienced head coach there. Probably better than our current head coach.
Who plays tough.
Right.
So let's assume, just for the sake of this argument, and Dan's going to have to leave us. Shiner and I will wrap up. Dan actually has real TV to do. But we've got Marshall, Temple, Buffalo, if you assume 3-0. And then Wisconsin, let's just assume we can get by them because we're at home. And again, a lot of these are assumptions now. It is because
you could drop one you don't expect.
Northwestern win. So there's 5-0. Now, you hit USC and Michigan. If you go 0-2 there, you get a bye week. Purdue is 6. Washington, let's just say you drop it because you got to go on the road. We don't know what Penn State has. There's 3. I think you're still looking at 9 wins if Penn State is who Penn State normally is, and if some of these other teams are who they normally are. The problem is Indiana has proven and other teams have proven sometimes you don't know what you get year to year.
And the transfer portal is the prime problem with that.
And Washington, remember, their quarterback is sticking around.
Correct.
So can we get to that 8 wins? I still think that's the right number.
I think it's the right number
to seesaw on, right?
And I really, as much as we all sort of like the hire, right? We think he's a good ball coach. It's a big rebuild. And I have some stats I'm going to run through at a different time and place, but the offensive stats from his team last year were not very good.
And that's in the Big 12. That's in the Big 12.
And that's the Big 12.
Yep.
The defensive stats could be concerning from Danton Lynn's defense. I mean, there's so much unknown about this team with so much in the way of different players, different coaches. It's really hard to tell. On that note, I'm going to get rolling, but you guys wrap the show together.
We're going to wrap it up here and take you through the ending. But that 8 number, my question then is, well, where's the 4th loss? Dan highlighted some potentials. What if they drop the Minnesota game? What if they drop the Wisconsin game, right? Because if you assume USC, Michigan, and Washington, Shiner, have their act together, there's 3 losses. But could Penn State lose another game because they're not quite up to snuff? Wisconsin stands out. Minnesota stands out. The rest of the schedule, though, is pretty light. And, again, if Matt Campbell wants to impress folks, trying to win 9 or 10 games and getting to the playoff in his first year, not a bad way to do it.
This might be kind of like the best case scenario schedule for his first year.
Yeah,
I know it
definitely.
looks light, but you never know who's going to be that rising team. But having a team like Wisconsin that's sort of been a roller coaster ride the last couple of years anyway. Sometimes they look good, oft ranked early, oft not ranked by the end of the season.
There's a fit too.
But even getting that game at home, at least you're getting a formidable opponent. It's not going to be these cupcakes, and that's your first Big Ten. So that I think we'll learn a lot about that game. Northwestern, sneaky good program, new OC in-house that we know of, right?
Be playing the first game in their new stadium too. Because that's scheduled to open. They haven't listed a date
yet. And we know who's driving the car there, right? Mr. Chip Kelly.
Yeah, that's true.
OC Chip Kelly at Northwestern University.
Man. Yeah, that's a good point.
It's a whole nother ball game out there. Now, does he still have the same talent he did in the Oregon years or even the UCLA years? I don't know, but they've been sneaky kind of good. They're not the bottom feeders that they used to be of the past.
They beat us this year.
Yep,
Exactly.
for sure. Yep. And then, I think getting USC at home, that big question mark game is definitely, I think, what Dan was pointing out, at Washington, then home against Minnesota. I think you almost chalk up the Michigan away game as the loss. That's like, let's pencil that one in.
Yep.
Who knows what might happen, and then you hope that you end up the season pretty strong against Rutgers and Maryland. I mean, they're still.
Yep.
I don't think they can compete even with a poor Penn State team.
There are 3 games on there that just stand out as worrisome. We get one of them at home with USC. And then, as you said, Wisconsin, boy, if you could beat them at home, that's a really great way to start the Big Ten schedule. Gives you some confidence. And let's keep in mind, we have an experienced QB. What have these teams that have done well the last few years had? Now, one could argue Penn State had an experienced QB this past year, didn't do well. Clemson had an experienced QB this past year, didn't do well. Doesn't always work.
Not always, but I think the
familiarity
with Campbell knowing the quarterback coming in helps, and we only hope that he hits the ground running here, and maybe we are an 8-9 win team, especially with this schedule.
It would be a good way to start, that is for sure. So that is going to wrap up our show here. I do want to point out you can find Dan and myself on social media at the following spots. I'm at meteorologist Brett Thackera. He's at meteorologist Dan Tomaso on Facebook. X and Instagram, Doppler Dan. Find him. X and Instagram, Brett Thack, ABC 27. You can find us talking about a lot of weather, which is always of keen interest this time of year. And we want to hear from you about our sports talk, too, and our wagering. That's weatherwagers@gmail.com. For David Shiner, who runs our audio, and we thank him for that, and weighs in, too, from time to time. For Dan Tomaso, who had to run and do big boy TV stuff. Although this is fun, I am Brett Thackera. Weather Wagers out. We will see you next week.